Right, we're going to look at basic crop functions in Photoshop CS6. Now I've opened up an image and down at the bottom you see down here it's 50% magnification. I'll just take that up to 100%. I can either just type it in down the bottom or I can click on the zoom tool and then I can click on 100% up here. Obviously this is not a very high resolution image, otherwise I'd only see a small part. This is just to show you how to do that. Mostly you might have to keep the magnification down. Now I'm going to look at the crop, so if I select the crop tool, now I can customize the overlay of the crop. If I go on the options bar here, it'll have lots of different settings, the rule of thirds, golden spiral, lots of different overlays, and you can turn overlays off. I'll just leave the grid on there. Now the other thing you can do is, as I sort of move the crop area around, you'll find the image will move around. You can move the image and the crop area sort of independently, and that's a new function since 5.5. Now if you don't like that, because sometimes everything's moving around, you can turn it off in the options preference up here, and I can use classic. And what classic does, you just move the crop area and the image just stays static, and you can just move it around and do that. If that's what you want, then go up there and turn that off. I'll just turn it back on. Now the other thing you have is up at the top left, you've got lots of different preset settings as well. Now I'll just leave it on ratio, and this is just to crop an image, and basically ideally with an image you probably need to take it, when you photograph an image, how you want it to be, and probably cropping is not something you need to be doing in Photoshop that much, you know, only slightly, but try and avoid cropping and crop in the viewfinder when you take a photograph. Now once you're happy with it, you can do a number of things. You can double click inside here, you can click the tick mark up there, or you can hit enter or return on your keyboard. There we go, that's just a basic crop once you've done that. Right, this time I'm going to use the rule of thirds overlay. I've got an image here. Now you've probably got to bear in mind this is like a library photograph that I've got and downloaded. As I mentioned before, most professional photographers will crop their image and compose it through the viewfinder, so there probably is very little need or not a lot of scope to be able to crop it. Once you bring it into Photoshop, it'll be pretty much fine. They've used the 2/3 rule at the composure stage through the viewfinder of the camera. So we're going to just look at, you know, how you would do that once it's come in. Sometimes you might want to change the composure of an image. So here we have it. So we've got the crop tool. I'll go up to here and I'm going to go for the 2/3 rule, and then I just click on here. Now the overlay is just the grid system split into 3 horizontally and vertically. Now the important probably thing to do here is up where it's got the crop options up on the options bar here, is go for original ratio, and what that does, it maintains the original ratio of the image and keeps it there so it doesn't skew it and make it different. Now what I need to do is use the guides to keep this dancing couple here in the sort of the third sector on the right. So if I move it in here and I bring it up a little and bring them over and down like that, I'll just bring the crop in slightly. Obviously you've got less scope for doing things. What I'm doing is I've sort of lined it up the best I can, obviously, and what happens is that couple now is sort of more or less in the third sector, so that's how you use that to line it up to get the rule of thirds. Now I'll just cancel that. Now the other one which is similar is to do with the golden ratio. I'm going to click on that, and again you know, those would be the sectors you would line up, and then you're trying to line it up in there. Obviously I haven't got a lot of scope because of how it's being composed. And again, you're just using the sectors to align it up. I'll cancel out of that. And finally we'll use the golden ratio spiral and click on that. I think you just about see that on there. Now what happens is you're lining up the little, I'll just move that down, it's this little mark here, you're lining that up, probably on the figures somewhere around here, so you might be able to see it so well, but I'll just move it up and move it in a little bit more. I'm going to go at the centre of the spiral, or near enough where I can get him, and put it there, and that'll give me the composition I want, and I tick, and that's using the overlay to do that. So they just help you set things up. The thing we can do with the crop tool is crop it to a set size. Now I want this to be 5 centimeters square, and I want it to be at 300 dpi. Now the first thing you need to do is, what you don't want to be doing is scaling an image up. So if an image only has 72 pixels per square inch and it's only 200 pixels square, and you want to make it 300 at 300 pixels square at 300 dpi, then basically you're going to lose quality because you're scaling it up. So you can probably scale an image down, but you can't scale it up. So first up, I need to go to the image menu, image size, and find out how big it is. So it's 10 centimeters, just nearly under 11, and it's just over 7 centimeters, and it's 300 dpi. So what I don't want to be doing is making it 20 centimeters wide at 300 dpi, because I'll lose quality. I can make it smaller, so that's fine. I can make it 5 centimeters. So I come out there, I need to go up to here and in the options and change it to width, height and resolution. Now before you do anything like this, you've got to make sure you've got your rulers out. So view menu, show rulers, I've got them out. Right mouse click and make sure you've got the right dimension settings. Here I'm going to go for centimeters, so I've got centimeters. And once I've got that, I want to make it 5 centimeters square, so I type in the options 5 centimeters square, and I want to still make it 300. And we've got that. I'll just put the grid system on. So you move it around to wherever you want it to be. I'll just take it there. I'll move it in slightly. And you've got that. And then once I'm happy with it, I tick and it's scaled it. Always look at your image at 100% magnification to make sure it still has the same quality it started out with. Now when I check the image size, it's 5 centimeters by 5 centimeters at 300, which are my crop size dimensions I set up in the crop properties. Now another thing you can do within the crop options is to straighten an image. Here we've got an image that's been taken, nice sunset, but as you can see it has a wonky horizon. So we can correct that. You click on the crop tool. I've cleared everything. It's important that if you have done anything to a set size, you need to press the clear button, otherwise it'll still be restricted to the set size that was originally done before, to the set crop area. Up the top it's got a little spirit level icon, and that's the straighten. Now what you would do is you would drag out along the wonky border, so you drag it out with the line and then you let go. Now what it will do is straighten it, but what will happen is you're gonna lose a bit around the edges. If it's really wonky, you lose more. If it's less wonky, you lose less. But Photoshop is clever enough to realize that, and you can just see that grey area it's got, and then if you're happy with that, you click OK. Now bear in mind, when you do straighten something, you will lose the edges of the image.